so that it's not all about me. It's also about being a blessing to the others. And finally, that others, you may be seen as a threat in your sector because you're not playing, ball, if it's corruption and so on. I have some examples in that sector, but this, I believe, is God's design for every business. Let's close by giving you an example. I'll skip this because of time. I was going to ask for some marks of that. I will share this presentation with us. But I was going to share with you that for ILU, we identified our niche as this way of developing leaders of integrity. So 2 years ago, we were involved in awarding this gentleman who is a matatu driver. You may remember that story that was in the media. And this was actually captured by Hope Media, who are here today. And basically, we were able to share, to encourage him to do that. That continue to do what he does. And he would have made some money, $50,000 shillings or so. We decided that we would give him a scholarship for one of his children, about $600,000. This is to say that also it is costly to be a person of integrity because he had to hold back from using that money and the laptop. You remember the $20,000 belonging to a student to show him that integrity always pays in the long term. And so, lastly, this last one, this was just last year in November, after graduation. Again, people now have become aware this is our space. So every time there's a story about somebody who has done something good, we get a lot of them sent in to us. What are you doing for this person? This is a police constable at Wilson Airport. You may remember the story, who found the $20,000. Now this is much bigger money, isn't it? 2.45 million, thereabout. And she, as a police constable, was a person of integrity and looked for the tourists to give them the money. And again, we thought, what can we do so that this lady's life is impacted and other police people in the police service? So we've again we chose to raise money to raise a scholarship for her. The level she could start at because of previous education, the certificate level, and we raised money for her certificate diploma. We are now raising money for her degree. She actually enrolled in this January. She's one of our students. Redemptive purpose. Beyond being a university and making money and being rich and famous, we want to really impact the society by raising leaders of integrity. So thank you very much. I'll stop here. For those of you who would like to partner with us, I want to mention to you that we still have the Rakitagela project going on. If you'd like to get some more information, you can talk to me later. Our team also has some t-shirts there for you. But also, of course, we have mid-career people like you who are looking for that clarity of how the next phase of their life can be more impactful than the first phase. That's when Dr. Kuria came to us. He already was a successful CEO, but he came to clarify that. And we want to encourage many of you, if you want to have a life of impact through the academic programs or the short courses, please talk to us. This is your home. We are very, very happy to have been with you. God bless you, and may we have a successful event.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kirui. He set us the pace for the day. So we'll disrupt the program a bit to recognize our chief guest because she can't give us for long. So I'll invite our chair, Mr. Rogers Udina, to invite our chief guest. Thank you.
Yes, good morning. We thank God for this opportunity that we have as the CEO, Chief Executive Officers Association, to come together. This is just one of our, what I would call, products. In the CEO Forum, also we have 3 types of CEOs. The first CEOs, of course, we have in the business, and the majority, Madam Susan, they are actually MSMEs. Then the second type we have for not-for-profit. We have quite a number of NGOs and even universities. I mean, Dr. Kirui has just told them that they are not-for-profit. But we also have public sector. And Madam Susan, you remember last time you were invited by one of our members, who is your colleague, Geoffrey Kaituko, the PS Labour. So those are the CEOs we have in our forum. So I just want to introduce our guest, who is Madam Susan Mangeni, but she has asked me maybe to give my presentation so that she also gets a background. She has actually a very tight program. She has a presidential function after this, so she will not be with us for long. But I think she just also wanted me just to give a very brief. I will just take about 5-6 minutes for my presentation, so that she just gets the background of who we are as the CEO Association, Chief Executive Officers Association. Then after that, we give her time to present. But I've requested her, in this group, we have all kinds of people. We have lawyers, we have doctors, we have, so different types of MSMEs. So I would request that you give us, after your presentation, at least 10 minutes so that they respond. They respond to what you are going to share. Thank you very much. So this is the Chief Executive Officers Association, and by God's grace, I'm the founder chairman, and of course we have a committee. Let me introduce the committee members who are here. Interesting enough, there are not many today, but we have our secretary. Please, Dr. Claire Nyambati. She's the secretary of the Chief Executive Officers Association. Thank you, Claire. I hope I've not left anybody else. So this is our CEO motto of us: as iron sharpens iron, so a man sharpens the countenance of his friend. Proverbs 27:17. We always keep saying, let us sharpen each other. And so we want to sharpen, not just, and we said, by the way, let us start sharpening ourselves. Just been speaking to Dr. Kuria, and he says we can also sharpen the other MSMEs throughout the country. In fact, that's really the purpose of the survey we did. So these are the summary of the CEO objectives. The first one basically is that we want to equip CEOs to be role models, what we call holistic leaders. Role model in your family, role model in the workplace, in the community, and in the nation. And I'm happy when Dr. Kirui was speaking about business as a mission, he actually captured that we really need to focus on holistic leader, not just on making money alone. It is important, but you also need to be a holistic leader. But you also want to equip CEOs to live their faith in the marketplace. That again has been captured well, I don't need to repeat. Now, this third one is why we are here. We want to create networking opportunities for win-win cooperation. And among us here, by the way, we already have a lot of stories how we have benefited each other in terms of business and even in terms of referrals. Already inside here, we have really benefited from, the SMEs doing business together, and we are happy about that. So these are our foundational values as the CEO Association. I want to go through all of them. So let me just, you've seen them because of time. Let me just proceed. Social capital. So we are saying members' unity social capital enhances access to abundant resources. So we have, of course, again, I want to go through all of them, but I'm just saying, when we come together, there are so many things we can benefit together. There are so many things we can benefit together. Lastly, this is what I started with by saying that as a CEO forum, we want to see, can we provide MSME solutions to this country? And I'm happy, Madam Susan, you are here. You will tell us, how do we support you? How do we work with you? I know, by the way, for those of you who attended the dinner, which we had last year at Radisson Blu, Madam Susan actually came. And interesting enough, that was the same day she had been sworn in as the PS. So we were among the very first people to benefit. Yeah. And she actually said, let's give her time. She organizes herself, and then she'll see how to partner with us. So this is just a continuation of that partnership that we started in Radisson Blu. And then, of course, you also want to have not-for-profit solutions, and you also want to have solutions for the public sector. So with that, Madam Susan, please welcome, and you address us. Thanks, and God bless.
Praise the Lord. Amen. Okay, thank you so much. Chairman. Sometimes it's always very, very humbling when you're addressing CEOs, but also who happens to be Christians, who happens to be not just men, but men and women of God, isn't it? It's really humbling. So let me say that this morning I'm extremely delighted to be here again, and I will always be willing to join you at any given time when opportunity arises, because I think this group is a blessing. I started off my duty with this group. It was a dinner, as he has put it, the moment after I was sworn in. And so far, I think it's been good in terms of what I will share with you. I think we've really made tremendous success. And I think it's because of your prayers. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Because of your prayers and your support. I always tell people that whenever you're praying, you may not mention my name, but if you say, God, please bless so-and-so who is traveling, who is doing ABCD, who is having such kind of a need, you're touching so many people. So I'm always proud of this group. Yes, I received this invitation, but also today happens to be one of those days. I know you people see you're one of those days that is heavily packed. We have a presidential function in Nyandarua. One of my projects is being commissioned today from about 11. And I'm proud for myself, but I'm also proud for Kenyans, and I'm proud for those hustlers in Nyandarua. So we got to be there. I also had an invitation to another breakfast meeting this morning, Bankers Association. I think you know that organization. It's happening, and I told them I'll see if I can manage. I may not manage, but at least I had made some arrangement. A colleague of mine is there with them. Well, when we met during the dinner, I made it clear that my role will rotate around trying to coordinate and align all the actors in the MSME space to focus on developing MSME. Little did I know by that particular time that when we talk about MSME, we are actually just talking about majority of Kenyans who are at the bottom of the economic pyramid. Because in the MSME sector, close to 80% are in the first M, the micro. And these are the people who are not served, who are not banked, and who are not touched by the existing MSME support, be it credit, be it access to markets, be it even access to capacity building. And so then that one meant that we have now to see how to focus on that particular group, if at all we are serious about growing MSME and helping them to the end has to be to enhance the livelihood of the people. So that's why for me here this morning is just to share and call upon you people that we need to focus on that aim. That aim is not found where we are seated here. That aim is found in the grassroots, in those villages that you can, those valleys and hills. That's where we have that aim. That aim belongs to is a home to majority of women in this country who wake up very early in the morning at 4 a.m., at 3 a.m. to and all those people who are vulnerable in the society. And for it to be a mission, we do it knowing very well that whatever we do, we need to create an opportunity for them to participate in our economy. I don't know if I shared this with that group that particular night, but I said there's a politician in the US, all we know him, Bill Clinton. He one time posed this question: is the economy stupid? You remember? Yeah. And many people kept on thinking about it. But had he posed that question in Kenya, who would tell him economy is never stupid? What is stupid is how we organize economic participation. If you organize economic participation where majority of people are locked out of it, then you, the organizer, you become stupid, and your approaches also become stupid. But if you organize economy in a manner where majority will have means to participate effectively and to unlock their potential, then you become wise. So I think that's where we are all focused as a government, and you can see as a clear demonstration to that, the State Department for MSME was created for the first time in our history as a country. Why was it created? So that we can create a platform where you bring your ideas, we sit together and see how do we improve the business environment for everybody to participate in. When again I joined in that particular dinner, we had just launched the Hustler Fund. And I think this is very good for you. Majority of people then were a bit skeptical. But for the last 4 months, what we have seen or witnessed happening is a clear demonstration that there is a need down there where I need to focus you people, let's take our mission to the grassroots. Because we launched it on 30th November last year. And we injected in, or rather my State Department injected in 10 billion. Then we started lending out little, 500, a minimum of 500 to about 50,000. But of course it graduates. The more you pay, the more it graduates. And many people asking, that's very little, you can't do business with that. But then I was asking myself, whoever makes such comments is not a business person. To a business person, even 1 cent matters. Isn't it? Makes a lot difference. That's why when you are making our computation, you have a receipt which is written 1 point what, you never round up because it matters. So there is always a financial need. And today is at 7 a.m. What I have here, because I get these reports regularly, every after 2 hours, on how our product is doing, is that we have now a loan portfolio of 25.5 billion. And we've been able to lend out to 19.5 million Kenyans. We've reached out to each and every corner of this country. We have a repeat customer base of 6, right, as per 7 this morning, it was 6.8 million Kenyans. These are people who borrow every day and repay. We've been able to mobilize savings because we had a mandatory saving segment on it. When you borrow 5% goes to saving, out of which 70% goes to your pension. Build up your pension. Even as a mama mboga, boda, at some point you'll retire. You'll get tired, but you need to retire to decence. So we have been able to mobilize close to 1.3 billion in a span of 4 months. And I'll tell you, I know we have CEOs here. I'll tell you why that this is very important. And so what does, of course, repayment right now is standing at 15.7 billion. So what do I mean? Out of the 10 billion that we injected in there, Kenyans are borrowing and repaying. And you find people sitting somewhere and saying, the 500 ni kidogo. So how are these Kenyans then able to utilize this facility and repay? So there is a need. Now, we've done all this. We've been able to achieve all this through, of course, technology to the private sector. We did not have to reinvent the wheel. So what we did, we looked at what is existing in the market. We saw there was already digital lending. So we brought the telcos together and we used their platform to reach out. Because if there is something that has reached out and is trying to equalize Kenyans, then it's technology. Technology is becoming an equalizer. And it can help Kenyans and Africa as a whole to jumpstart some of those steps. It's actually an affirmative action thing for us, because we're able to jump some steps and develop if we all, just embrace it and utilize it properly. Then we were also able to use financial institutions to help us in developing baseline credit scores. Because one of the barriers why there is problems with financial access at that particular level, or rather with that particular segment of our population, is due to requirement of collaterals. Those collaterals, and I know CEOs, if you are running, even those of you who are, operating banks, you'll know that there is that particular group is high risk, and therefore you need some assurance. I'm sure even if this is one of your good, morning worshiper, when it comes now to borrowing, you're like, si Mungu hata tenda tu. Beyond Mungu kutenda tu, I need something, isn't it? Some security. So, but we know in some economies, people have built a culture of credit score. You start looking at positive credit score as a means that will enable you access financing. Somebody was telling us, like, for example, in the US, no matter how much money you have, you cannot acquire property if you have a negative credit score. Before you acquire, what comes first is your score. Trust. And I think it's high time we use even Christian forums to try and embed that trust. And for us to embed the trust, it means we must understand. We must understand the environment. And indeed, if we understand the environment and walked through, we take the approach of value chain. We walk through from the point of ideas to the point of value addition to the point of market access, bring about the necessary training that is, capacity building to that particular, entrepreneur, then you will build that trust in that business. But if your business is just to lend and you don't care, we have people who have been lending, they really do not care so long as you repay them. So we sink our people deeper into poverty for lack of understanding the environment. So what are we trying to do in our State Department is that we want to bring everybody on board, all actors, wherever you are, whether you're a Christian, whether you're a mama, wherever you found, so that all of us can start now building trust amongst our MSMEs, working with them, knowing that if I give you that financial access, if I give you that credit, I must also be interested in understanding the kind of business which you're doing, if possible, help you to create necessary linkages for the market, help also to train you, if I can, so that you succeed. It should be in my best interest as a banker to succeed, because it's only when you succeed in your business, when you can, and profits are not bad. Otherwise, you will never be in the business without profit. But we must also make profits which are, I think the point where the VC was trying to raise is that our focus should not just be on making profit, but our focus should be this profit. How are they impacting on our livelihoods? If I'm giving this mama mboga a loan at a higher interest rate, at the end of the day, she will not even make profit that she can invest in anything that enhances her livelihood. So that's why I think we must promote them. We must do business that impacts on people's life, not just, we don't care whatever you do. I can give you money. Isn't that what has been happening? I give you money. When I'm giving you money, I come smiling. Have you ever seen when those people who come to sign you up to credit? And in fact, banks send very beautiful ladies, very handsome young men. Am I lying? Those are the people you will meet, looking good, to entice you. Take this product, even a cup of tea, those who do wine with a glass of wine. But when they come to collect, what do? You ask themselves, those good-looking ladies, they have since vacated your banks or what? They bring you mean-looking? Yeah. So which is wrong? So we must look at all this thing from a mind, from a perspective that it is a call and it's a mission. So I agree with you. Business has to be a mission, and you help us to spread that. But also, as I conclude, is that through Hustler Fund again, Hustler Fund is not just credit, like any credit scheme. And Hustler Fund is not in any competition with the private sector. And I think I always emphasize this because people thought, why is the government doing something that the private sector can do? No. Like I said, we are now focusing on that segment that is not served, that is has a higher risk. We have developed a risk appetite for that to rehabilitate that segment with an aim of integrating back to the market. It's only the government who can do this. And some very good organizations like this one, I'm sure when we sit together, we are the only one, especially those who are non-profits, who can rehabilitate that group and then build their capacity. And after some time, when they are able now to compete competitively in the market, reintegrate them back where? To the market. And the kind of credit scoring right now that we are focusing on, you remember, CRBs in this country were worse than policemen. No kweli. If you hear CRB, it's like you heard something about police. It's like a policeman. And recently I was just sharing about that, and I was telling them, with a policeman, whether he's your spouse, the moment he walks out of that door and is having, he becomes a totally different. Even if he's good, he steps out, he becomes now a policeman. Even you yourself, you start getting scared. It's the same thing about CRB. But we came to realize that CRB has also some positive attitude. In this country, unfortunately, banks were only reporting negatively and not positively. So we need now to focus on positive reporting. And with that, we build a credit score on alternative data. What am I talking about alternative data? Why? Alternative data means whoever is in that space of lending needs to focus on the enterprise's opportunity. The government has identified value chains. Value chains in agricultural, majority of them are in the agricultural sector. In the next 5 years, you're going to put a lot of emphasis, a lot of funding in, for example, dairy production. And I know we have here people who are in the manufacturing sector. If you want to see where you can focus on, just listen to me, because that's where we are mopping up markets for you. That's where we are reviewing policies. Dairy production. We've realized we have a huge potential in terms of a market. East Africa market. We have a huge potential in the African continental, market. And besides, even our partners in Europe, in Asia, they are also looking for dairy products. So that's where we want to focus. We want to focus on textile and garments. This means that we need to increase our production of cotton. Again, that's an area. And people who are coming from cotton growing areas, like my friend here, chairman here, it's high time we go there, even within those churches, start mobilizing farmers there to embrace cotton farming. Huge opportunity there. We are focusing on leather value chain. We are beef eaters in this country. We are the 4th largest African country in terms of animal keeping. But when it comes to beef eating, I think we even eat more than any other. We eat more. We love meat, and we can eat meat from morning to evening, isn't it? And not eat properly. But we have had a challenge with recovery of the hides and skin. So we want to increase to address recovery issues. How are we going to address this is when you help us to encourage MSMEs in the regions of the high potential areas of leather, production, northeastern areas, Narok areas, Rift Valley, where they do a lot of animal. So let them invest there, because we're really focusing on that. And we are coming up also with industrial parks, special industrial economic zones that are going to promote the value addition in those particular value chains. The other value chain is edible oil. And ladies in this room will tell you that sometimes when this war about Russia, and Ukraine started, without really warning, we woke up, went to the supermarket, and the prices of cooking oil shot up. They were just up without warning. Nobody prepared us for this. Why? Because of depending on importation. We import 95% of edible oil raw material in this country. It's the 2nd largest after petroleum. Again, massive opportunity there, because this has been our traditional value chains. We grow nuts, we grow groundnuts, we can grow soya beans, it's there. Across this is one of the value chain that can be produced across this country. Again, we are reaching out to you through your network in the grassroots. Help us mobilize and entice people where we have high growth potential to invest into it. You can come up with financial products that can enable these people, especially in your networks, to invest into it, because there's a huge market. The other value chain is tea. Tea has been one of the greatest cash crop that we've had in this country. Unfortunately, we don't do value add. When you go outside the car, last week I was in Europe, and I'm struggling because they have bad tea. Struggle to get tea. You really suffer. Well, you've experienced, right? You say you want Kenya tea, and they bring you things which you look at it. And because we do not do value add, we export those raw materials, and they go and blend and blend and blend till they lose the taste. We also want to be doing our own value add here. We package it. When you go there, you're looking for Kenya tea, you feel the taste. We're looking at rice production as a way of securing our, enabling us or ensuring food security. You've realized we are suffering in the last, and you've seen, and thanks for Christians who have stood up and said, this Holy Week, we don't want our people to run. So listen, Cindy. And if you ask around, why is all this agitation coming up? It's food, the cost of living. And we tell people, well, now I'm no longer a politician, I'm a political. But I tell people, the price of unga, I use it Remusha from State House. State House does not have a farm. Isn't it? It's in our shamba. We have Tulima. So, but we have a lot of areas that we can do rice production, which has not been tapped. So we are going to focus on rice production. The last one, of course, is coffee. Again, it's the same thing. People who have gone to Tatu City. Have you gone to Tatu City? Are you investing in Tatu City? Are you seeing something that should not be happening? That we are uprooting coffee. Have you seen that? To pave way for construction. I was there last week, and I wanted some plot, and I felt bad. And I think this is where Vice Chancellor, that things when you're a Christian and you love people, you start feeling bad. You feel this thing is not really right. Because people have uprooted coffee. Now we are replacing it. Very soon we'll not even have fields to plant maize. We'll keep on having no food. So why? Because this coffee our farmers are saying is not productive. Why is not productive? In the manner in which what we export. You know, we allow our farmers to be exploited. Yet, if you go there outside the country, price of coffee is very high. But so we need to correct that market failure so that our farmers can be encouraged to continue planting coffee and not to pave way for construction. Have you ever asked yourself who will live in those houses? If there is no income, at some point those houses will just become also buildings there that nobody will buy. So I just wanted to share with you some of the value chains that I feel as CEOs we need now to start focusing and producing corresponding products, be it financial, be it capacity building, that can help us promote them and increase productivity and the competitiveness of MSME. Finally, what are we doing as a government? We know that indeed the business environment has been very harsh in this country. It's very harsh, a lot of regressive taxation, a lot of multiple licensing by county government. Somebody was telling me the other day, if you are doing your production in Mandera, because of so many, everybody is putting some licenses. You know, the county government, they said that their own government, everybody is taxing. EO says, by the time you move your goods to Mombasa, at the end of the day, you're going at a loss. So we are actually engaging county government so that we can harmonize those multiple licensing. Josie, we were told here, I think Governor Sakaja has come up with again another license regime where he's saying if you work with a branded car, those people who like showcasing how you are riding Mercedes, you put those two Mercedes things of yours there, you pay what? License. Well, they've published, So somebody was saying, I'm worried, because now if you put on a jersey written Tommy Hilfiger, you'll also require to pay. Are you seeing where we're headed? But those are some of the issues that we are going to address. So my call on you is that our strategy is that we cannot achieve this alone. We have all of us to be aligned. I'm really trying to do much in aligning the development partners, and very soon I will now embark on a program to align the private sector so that, like the Vice Chancellor said, whatever you do, let's now look at it from a mission perspective and not just a profit perspective. Let's change. So we will be reaching out to you for policy proposals, and if you think this kind of policy has been a barrier, let's see how we can work around it and disrupt. So there is nothing that cannot be disrupted with that particular model. We launched early last month voluntary savings, and you just dial, if you don't want to borrow 500, just dial *254# and you'll save. And we want to ask you to start saving towards investment. We have launched affordable housing. These housing are for MSMEs, but we're encouraging them that because we've not had opportunity where you can save even 100 bob a day, with technology you can be able to do that. Our MSME who earn like 100 bob, 50 bob of a profit can be encouraged to save towards a mortgage scheme for those affordable housing. Some of those houses are going to cost as little as 500,000 in a span of 15 years. I believe, for me, that can be achievable by a mama mboga, by a boda boda. The other bit is trying to promote universal health coverage by introducing again a premium medical, coverage, health coverage of NHIF. We've discussed with NHIF and they've told her if you can save like 17 bob a day, you can get a premium coverage that will also come along with last expense. And this one will reach out to your nuclear family, your mother, including your mother. I know we all care about our mother. Nobody says fathers. Everybody say, oh, my mom, you know. It's only father when it's God. That's when we say, oh, my, you know. But these other things, mother, isn't it? So for your mom, for your mom-in-law, for your real mother, and all those things. So we again, all these are products that are customer-made for MSME. Like I said, the first aim there. So we can help us to encourage people to embrace these services. But as we said, our business is not to do this business. Our business is just to correct this existing market failure. We stabilize the credit market, and then in the end, see how we can be able to graduate these people, integrate them back to the economy. And we are leaving no one behind. Even if you are in the pulpit, we do not encourage you. God gave you everything, you know. And I like this because let's encourage our people to exploit the potential that God gave them, you know. I mean, my Sunday school teacher used to tell us that your mother cannot weka maji ya ugali alafu aende down on the knees praying, oh God, sasa maji natokota, unga itatoka in the you know, itaanguka hapo kweli. So we have to make use of what God has given us to help rebuild this country, rebuild this world, and help grow his creation. Thank you so much, good people. Next time, I'll come with a speech. Sawa. Yeah, so I just wanted to tell Chairman that maybe I will take a few questions. I do not want to take all questions because I want to come again. I don't want to finish everything. Okay? Okay, Dr. Kuria of insurance. Okay. Yeah, maybe we can take questions. And then he can help me to respond. Yes. Yeah. Maybe I need a pen. No, this is okay. Oh, yes.
All right, thank you, Madam PS, and even for making the time. So I have two questions. One, these people in this room who are focusing on the M in the MSME have innovations that are going to address the constituency, the 15 million informal workers that we are dealing with. However, we are actually experiencing situations where bigger firms are taking away our intellectual property and seem to operate with impunity. So the request is, can we have a framework, a legal framework, to interrogate the current IP laws so that even as the solutions are coming, it will not be in vain. We are business as a mission, but we also need to make something while it takes. Okay. The second one is a request, and I'm very glad that you're here. So we have, I work with FinTech, with a colleague of mine out there, and we are micro savings mobilizers. And we have, it's interesting you talked about 17 shillings. So we have a solution to enable these 15 million people to save on a daily basis 17 shillings for their NHIF, to place it on the Hustler Fund. I do not have tall relatives, but we are one body in Christ, and you are a very tall relative. So we are requesting that you take us and we place this solution so we enable it, we make it happen. Saving that 17 shillings automatically on the Hustler Fund. The solution is ready, we have everything in place. I had to say that because I had the mic.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah? You don't have a roaming mic?
No, yeah, we don't have a roving mic.
Yeah, thank you. You said your name was? Sorry?
George
Jirang?
Ndirang.
Okay.
Good morning, CEOs who are Christians. Good morning again, and praise the Lord.
Amen.
My name is Akara Mohia, Mrs., and I'm born again. I'm the CEO of Sungate Insurance Agency. My first visit, courtesy of Shiro, with another network. Thank you, Madam PS. Mine are requests. Apart from being a CEO, I'm also a very passionate farmer. I do breed merino sheep, and I crossbreed with the Dobas. But when the gentleman who does the shearing, that wool goes into waste. And the last time he did that, he told me that the industries that were, he used to take the wool for process and to be beneficial to us and to the world, it's no longer active. I felt a zero. Here you're doing close to 1,000 sheep, but that wool is going to waste. So I told him, mine will not be wasted. We'll soak them, I'll clean them, and I'll do my own cushions.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a call, kindly. When you go up there and you talk to our big man, can we have those industries come back? Let them be revived. There's so much wool that's going into waste. Secondly, I'm in purple tea farming in Nyeri County. So I find my tea, once it's gathered and picked, it's being mixed up with the other normal tea. We've had there is a factory for only purple tea, that is by Eden Tea and Kericho Gold, but you don't know whether it's true. But to us farmers who are, and I'm speaking on behalf of those farmers who are in our county, we're doing so much of purple tea, especially in Teto, but the purple tea is being mixed to the green, and we are getting the pay of the one getting the green. Well, purple tea is very expensive. I went to Kericho about a year ago, and I bought the purple tea, 1 kilo at 2,300. But when I'm receiving my slip at the end of every month, it's like I'm doing totally nothing. It pains the farmer. So it's my request and humble request. When you go up there and you sit with our big man, tafadhali mwambie, farmers are crying. Could we have factories that can take the normal green tea or the black tea, have the one with purple tea, so that when I'm doing the green tea there, the pay I receive and the pay I receive from purple, as a farmer, I'll feel I'm doing something good to the world and to the nation. God bless you.
Thank you, thank you. One more? Yeah? Okay. Yeah, after her, then probably it's you, and then I'll respond.
Good morning. My name is Reverend Dr. Margaret Mushai. I serve as the National Coordinator of the Deliverance Churches and also the founder of Mercy Foundation. As I came in here today, I have just one question, but I want to lay it on what I heard. Tim speaking about business, mission, and business. Our business is people. The sacred part, the spiritual part. And as I sat here, I'm asking myself, hearing from what the CEO said earlier, the issue of collaboration, the issue of sharing experiences. There has been a lot of question as church leaders, I want to talk as a church leader, that the greatest resource any country would have is its people. And you've told us that over 80% are in the first M. So my question is, the question has been there, the Hustler Fund is out, and yes, you're giving out from 50 to 50,000. But the question that I want to ask you is it possible for your office to share experiences of what are people doing with 50 shillings and profitably being able to pay? Because sometimes you cannot, when a 50 shilling is given to a person who has no experience, if they knew that if you bought a packet of sweets with 50 shillings, you could make 60, then we would be able to share those experiences and then involve the right institutions. Kenya is said to be over 80% Christian, so we have a gathering of people that arrive at churches every Sunday. So when you go out to share those experiences, can we share them where we will touch the real people and where real people can take up what you're saying, not consume it, but rather use it to better themselves? So I'm asking, share the experiences in the right places, to the right people, and let's grow the country.
Thank you. We'll take the gentleman and, last. Okay.
Good morning. And to let her speak, because she's my pastor, otherwise I may not have a church to go on Sunday. Yes, my name is Godfrey Mwenda. I'm born again. I serve with Bible translation and literacy. And besides that, I run 2 types of businesses in farming, and I also do coaching. My 3 questions. It's very good that when we get Madam P.S. coming to talk to us, that many times we ask, but people that are sitting in this auditorium today to share their stories so that they are positive impact to people and you have got a progressive space. If there's anything that you can share with us here, that what is it that you can do for you to make sure that your thing is success? Number 2, we have an organization in Kenya called KEFIS. We have an organization in Kenya that regulates the seed production in the country today. Go to the market, the agriculture market, like my colleague who talked about tea production, is that right now the price of cabbages in the market is so high. So what is happening in the seed production and in the seedling production? I said I'm in farming. I do propagation of seedlings. So right now, anybody that is coming to my business where I'm doing production for seedlings is asking for cabbages. In the next 3 months, the cabbage that was going for 120 shillings will be actually people giving it to cows. Because, there's no market. Last year, around November, December, or thereabout, the price of tomatoes was something else. Right now, the price of onions is still going up. But a few months ago, the price was also in the reverse. So what is my request, and what is it that we've been doing ourselves, is I'm a trained agricultural economist. And one of the things that we'll be looking for is data. What is the quantity of seed that KEFIS is certifying to go to the market? If we are able to estimate that quantity of seed that is going to the market, on the reverse, we are able to say that we produce so much of cabbage in the market to a certain fixed population. So if we produce more to the market, there's going to be an upsurge. And therefore, KEFIS regulates and says, this regulation will go to stop it there. Otherwise, we'll have a flooding in the market, and there'll be no production. I hope you're getting my argument.
Yes, I get it.
And then the last one is The last business that I'm engaged in, I'm an exporter, an agricultural exporter to Europe and to Scandinavian countries. Right now in Kenya, to get the license, the Eurogap license, the KEFIS license, and the HTDL license, it is too expensive for us. Without $1 million shillings plus, you're not able actually to get yourself to that space. And yet the person that you're exporting to the other side is going to pay you either within 30 to 45 days. And it is at their discretion. If peradventure that the produce that you take to them in their field, it doesn't meet their standard, yet it passed our KEFIS here and passed our XDA, they will charge you for destruction on the other side. Yet you paid the export, you paid the freight charges, it goes the other side and they destroy. That's the people that have been here. One time somebody actually had to go to Europe to say that I want to come and see this produce that is being destroyed. Only to meet that it's somebody who created a story and they're actually selling it in the local space. So the government of Kenya today should help us somehow reduce either the cost of that production. It was very encouraging to hear the president say that he's giving land right now for free for people to do their farming. I would want to go farm in Kwale or in Kilifi or somewhere that I can get a tract of land like 100 acres very cheaply. But now if I want to sink a borehole for me to do my farming, then again the Walmart, whoever else again comes on board, then again they are charging too much money for me to be able to drill my borehole, that I can do my farming within a very remote space. So there's anything that the government can help us to do to support the horticultural farming within your list of things that you mentioned, that will go a long way to help us. Thank you.
Thank you. That's the last one. Yeah. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm very new here. My name is Anne Gisharu. I work with Diamond Trust Bank, and I'm happy to hear about what the government is doing for the MSME. As DTB, I'm a banker by profession. I work with Diamond Trust Bank, and one of our focus as a bank, one of the verticals we have a group called Sokoni. So we're actually going down to the grassroots to ensure we enable those mama mbogas to build their businesses so that in the long run, they're the people we need in future as a bank. So for me, I'm not talking about DTB, I'm talking as myself. My other profession, I'm a farmer by profession. I do dairy. And the saddest part is I try to retire and go back to business, but I'm back to employment. Because I had 3,200 farmers where I used to collect milk. But we have one monopoly who comes and destroys our let me say, how we buy the milk. I buy it at 56 bob. The big company comes and buys at 51 bob. So what are they doing? They're killing us, the small farmers who are trying to do dairy. So we were asking ourselves as a government, how can you control to ensure that these monopolies do not kill the people who are trying to do business? That's my question.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really would have loved, let me respond to this one. Probably I'll be responding to our issues. Then you see if I'll be left with a minute. Let me begin with the monopoly. I know that's one of the areas that people fear addressing. And you saw when we started addressing the issues of monopolies to create market to our farmers, you saw how Mandamano started, you know. And I know you people, you're very intelligent, you know. The reason why Mandamano is there is also because of trying to protect that space. But we're not giving up. What you're also trying to do to small farmers is to set up aggregation centers. The project which is being commissioned today in Olkalau is for potato farmers, because we realize they need cold storage, so that when we're experiencing the bumper harvest, like what you're talking about, the cabbages and what, we can be able to store it there. As we stabilize, the farm gets prices. So those are some of the initiatives we are coming up with. Then the government, working closely with the county government, is going to set up what you're calling industrial parks in each and every county. And these one are more like aggregation centers again, to help small-scale farmers pull together their products and have, also meet competitive prices, because post-harvest loss is what has been affecting a lot of farmers, so we are addressing it through such setting up of common user facilities like those ones. But I don't think there is no market in Kenya even for cabbages. God positioned us in a very interesting way. That when it's raining in one part of this country, it's actually dry in another part of this country. A few months ago, when Baringo, we had story of tomatoes being given to animals in Baringo, remember? And by that particular time in Nairobi here, the price of tomato was very high. So, and if you go further to places like where I come from, Western Nyanza, it was even much higher. But there was no connectivity. The connection of that farmer to the market has been the greatest challenge. And we're asking ourselves, can technology help us? We may not really have resources to improve our infrastructure to support, but can technology give us prior information? Can I be able to know that you're producing cabbages, and this is at the stage at which that cabbage is, let's say a month before, so that I start preparing for you those market linkages? Start seeing who else. Can I maintain a database of cabbage farmers, a database of milk farmers, so to help also look for market and improve that connectivity? So those are some of the areas which we are trying to address, addressing distribution challenge. So the challenge is not demand. Actually, the challenge is in distribution. We have a local market demand that we hardly even meet. That's why if you come from Western Kenya, Nyanza, Kenya, we have to depend on Uganda, to supply us. When we buy veggies from Uganda, but you see here in central region, they're producing, and they're feeding cows. So the problem is not even in production. The problem has been in the distribution, which I think we are now addressing. And my State Department is actually working on that. On the issue of expo market, I told you we were in Europe last week with the President, and this is one of the areas that we had a discussion about it, and we were also with my counterpart in trade, who is the chief negotiator of the EPA, the agreement between Europe and Africa. Some of the conditions which they're putting there, we've told them they're not tenable. The conditions that are not even sensitive to our culture and our way of life. So, in some of them, we cannot achieve 100%. We're asking them to make them progressive. For example, if they say that you must prove to us beyond doubt that there was no child labor that was involved in this. And then the definition of child labor is that now, for example, during holiday, you will not go along with your kids as unachimba shimo ya mahindi anaweka. To them, that's child labor. But to us, that's passing. Yeah, it's training, isn't it? So, yeah. And so when they were talking like that, I felt a little bit uncomfortable, because one of the programs that I want to come up with is a program of promoting investment culture among the population, our young people. And we want to begin this with school-going children. In fact, in primary. Because I know today we start emphasizing entrepreneurship in adult. Because somebody has walked around, has not gotten a job, na mbona naweza fanya biashara. Biashara ifanywe hivyo. 40 years, 50 years, which business will this person do? There is no business you can do that can become productive and competitive when you begin it out of necessity. Business has been driven by the opportunity. And for it to be an opportunity, it has to be embedded in your culture. So we need to inculcate that culture. We have to work it out in early years. So I'm thinking of having investment clubs in our primary schools. Starting, isn't it? You see that? So where every day, like Thursday, remember when you used to have 4K clubs? And like cooking clubs? I know most of us learned how to cook. I learned how to cook rice and cook chapati from school, not in my mother's kitchen, because mafuta itakuchoma, toka hapo jikoni. But in school, we're all doing this kind of thing, so I learned. Look at the generation of bringing up. Even at high school level, fixing a button they can't. Am I lying? Ambia mtoto button imetoka. Atatembea tivyo, ata kushona. Kuchukua ile shindano, cannot. Utasema auntie, fix. Sindo hivyo? Auntie, panguzio mtoto viatu. Then you take them to Ngambo, and life there, ni yako mwenye unajitegemea. They mess up, they start doing drugs, unasema, devil amekutembelea. Na wewe ndio ulianza kutembea na kutembeza devil mapema. You start disturbing God. Akuangalia vitu zenye ulifanya. So what I'm saying, so I was thinking, for example, how many of us during this Easter holidays are going to sit down with our teen kids and tell wacha tuoshe gari, instead of taking it to the car wash, so that the 500 they're going to pay there, give to this boy, aanze kusave. Are you seeing that? Safaricom have come up with the product, which these kids, even those who are underage, can start saving, And these phones, I'm sure most of us who have these phones, we are underutilizing these phones. But give it to those human beings. They know how to use it 98%. Sisi, we don't even have time. They know how to navigate. There's lots of opportunity in these particular gadgets. So we start encouraging. If they have the phone, let them make the phone to start investing and saving. And now I want to see how we can link that up to mobilizing their pension. Imagine if your 7-year-old boy start building his pension. Akifika age 20 amenda university, atakusumbua. Satakuwa na pesa ameka mali, which can invest. So that's but I'm afraid, because if we start encouraging them, schools also to have like greenhouses, start planting mbogas, so that whenever you go school days there, you can buy those mbogas, promote them, and then they save. We'll be told it's child, isn't it? So we need, we still not agreeing, but I think we are going to agree. Among other issues that they're raising, like what they were saying, zikona issues. And some of our food are very fresh. When those people come here, they enjoy. But when we go to their food, unakula tumbi inaanza kufura. But then they say our food si mzuri. So we are going to, those are some of the issues that we are alive to and we are addressing. Now, the issue of sharing experiences, this is very good, I welcome. But I want to throw a challenge to you. I attend so many trade expo. Naitwa naambiwa kuna trade expo hapa na pale. You have a very good platform. You have a good platform. There are just two things that people live in this world to achieve, especially if you're a Christian. The family obligation and then the social obligation, which is also part of religious obligation. And after you have achieved everything else, towards your end, you start now feeling, what have I done for God, isn't it? But we should not wait until we are retiring to starting doing something. We can start showcasing, actually, that there is an opportunity in this country to run businesses as a mission. Have you thought of having an annual trade fair where Christian CEOs, Christian manufacturers come up to just showcase to the whole world about the businesses which they're doing, so that you encourage people that doing a business is not a sin? Have you thought of that? Good. So I've given you the challenge. Chairman and CEOs, let's organize an expo, and if we do it, We plan it well because you know the head of state is also a Christian and is also a business person. So it belongs to you people, you know. He can come and launch it so that you people can be able to help us to take this message to the people. And you know, if we are going to use you people as at the front, as front line, in terms of reaching out to the people, we're really going to organize people. Where I come from and the religion, the denomination which I belong in, I'm a Catholic, and they say, Father amesema. Yeah? Those mama atasema, Father amesema. So if you tell them unaweza lima, ukienda through the forum, Christian Forum Church to announce a development initiative. Nasema, umesikia Father vile amesema, tunaweza kuja pamoja kwa chama yetu, tukapanda nyanya na iko soko. Father amefanya nini? Hapo atasema, evangelist amesema, reverend amesema, apostle amesema. Why are we underutilizing the power that God has given us to help him fix the world? Sawa sawa. So, Chairman, I'm throwing this to you. This is something that is achievable. I can see you have very good, hardworking people here who are doing a lot. But much as you also want to know what we're doing, we also want to know what you're doing so that we can leverage on what you're already doing. Sawa sawa. On the issue of, so we need really to collaborate in that end. And maybe what I'm going to do also is that I'm setting up technical teams across all those priority value chains. And with time, we can start organizing forums. Some of them could be online. We can have a conversation. We can have a breakfast meeting online if physical meeting is not. Sindio hivyo? Breakfast ni chakula tu. You know, nimeona huyu amesimama nyuma yangu karibu anasema wewe umesahau unatoka ile place. You know me Deluya with the food. So we can actually utilize such kind of spaces and have this conversation so that we take on board your feedback to help us set up systems and processes that will help us create a conducive and a friendly environment for businesses. On the issue of value addition, I think the tea, I told you we realize that there is a problem. Our farmers are not getting. We are uprooting coffee. Probably next thing our farmers going to uproot is tea. And we are going to be finished. And we don't want to be finished. So that's why the president is really putting a lot of emphasis on value addition. And as we do that, we're also going to see how do we then look at those, like trying to segregate what the type of teas you're planting, and also helping to profile specific markets for them. And also specific financial products. Like Hustler Fund is not just the 500 to 50,000 is the personal loan. The second product is microenterprise, targeting microenterprise, and the group loans, where entrepreneurs can come together. Maybe you're 5, you come together, you like an association, to help you build up your bargaining power to access the market and maybe higher credit. You come together. In my State Department, I have MSEA. MSEA does registration of association. So you don't need to go through the social labor, the way they've been doing right now. And we have actually launched the digital registration of enterprises. It becomes so easy. We're also trying to see how, if we can review the policy to allow even an association to become a legally recognized business entities that can be able also to do tenders without necessarily insisting on you must be a company limited or a registered business and stuff. So we're looking into that to just ease that aspect of doing business. So we will be reaching out, and my office is an open door office, and I'm passionate about this, Had it not been for presidential, this would have turned it into lunch. because I'm just passionate into this. Yeah, so we actually addressing that. On the issue of fintech, yes, I welcome you. Maybe let's meet after Easter so that I get to understand more what to do, because that's where we want to go. And to realize if we encourage saving, we also de-risking most of these MSME. If we encourage use of technology, especially digital lending, we also de-risking these MSME. However, I have to say that we also alive to predators, digital lenders who are predators, digital savers who are predators, and not just digital, but institutions which are predators. You'll give loan to that mama mboga because you know that mama mboga is usually desperate. Like if you got here in Kikomba at around 4-5, there you find some tajiris na meza makeup. You come, you leave your ID, you take 1,000 bob or 2,000 bob, na unarudisha na 100 bob on top. That's 10% per day. Imagine if you do that every day in a year, 360%. Isn't that person a predator? Mbogo umenu 1,000, biashara si maybe ni hiyo 100. You're working for someone. So we have people who have come also, sharks who have encroached that space due to lack of, coordination, and they're really exploiting our people. And that's why we had to come in and say, Mama Mboga, you can be able to borrow 500 without being exploited. You pay at 8% per annum, and we know you pay daily, so there will be no interest probably at the end of the day. And you buy your mboga, unauza, unalipa, you can lipa partially, the following day umalizie, alafu usonge mbele. That's what you're doing. You can borrow 1,000. So micro enterprise, you can borrow up to 200,000. And these are short term, because the group which are addressing require short term products. Hawatakingi vitu zenye zinakaa sana. And then we hope we can migrate them now to from micro to small and then to medium. Then the group loan, you can access up to 1 million. I think if we go outside there in our church networks and encourage people who have similar ideas to come together and can be registered by MSEA, can borrow about 1 million. But let's also encourage borrowing for a purpose. It's business for a mission, but also borrowing has to be for a mission. Do not borrow also to consume, because tomorrow you'll not have something to eat. So let's focus more on enterprise development. One of the things that you need to put a lot of emphasis, even as an organization, is helping people understand opportunities within those value chains that I've talked about, so that then you mobilize them and encourage them to invest or help them to generate ideas, viable ideas within those specific value chains. Could be at the production, at the value chain level, or market access. There's quite a lot of opportunity which they can. In terms of law for tech, for startup laws and innovation, we're coming up as a State Department. We are right now working on the startup bill, and maybe we will work with your chairman in the coming days once we embark on public participation, to come and have a session with you where you can also make the input in that startup bill. Because the aim of that bill is to see how we can regulate that environment to encourage more startup and to encourage more MSMEs to invest in the manufacturing sector. We say majority of MSMEs are in the first aim. Equally, majority of MSMEs in the first aim are startups, are young businesses. On the part of financing, we're working right now in collaboration with partners. We have right now commitment from the World Bank, commitment from the EU Commission, which is going to focus on the supporting young businesses and startups. So what I mean is that there is financing outside there. There are massive opportunity outside there. The problem has been on the part of organizing. So we're reaching out to you, whichever space you are in, your men space, your female space, your office spaces. Let's utilize those spaces. Let's see which opportunities surrounds there, and let's mobilize our people to really invest in those opportunities. I'm happy because what Hustler Fund has done as a model is that now very many people are onboarding. Yesterday, I was being told in one of the constituency in a local market, they've come up, Equity Bank has gone there and are working in partnership with the area member of parliament. They've come up with a loan facility targeting now Mama Mboga. And when it was brought to my attention, that person thought that was telling me to show me, where Hustler Fund, if you can't get Hustler Fund, you can now get this. I say, hallelujah, this is what you wanted. To now make people now move to in the grassroots. Because if they don't move, what they can't do, we can do more. And we really do not want to compete with them. So many people are onboarding. The other day, Equity said they are willing to put in 250 billion, and if you borrow the Hustler Fund, if you have graduated, you'll access higher loans using the credit scoring. I mean, I'm sure other banks are coming up. You've just had Diamond Trust Bank and many other banks that I meet. They say everybody is now properly aligning, and this is what we wanted as a nation, isn't it? So we check out predators, but you also need to check out predatory saving. Because, I'm happy you are here, banker. How many other bankers are here? Good. Only 2. Yes. Good. So, December, I want to finish with this. December, I was invited to a function in my village. And I found there was this informal group. They usually meet once a year, AGM. You know that those 2 AGM huko mashinani. And they do table banking. But now, they realize that the only place you can save your money is in the bank. So after this, every December they meet once, they see. I don't know how they came up with these shares and stuff. Shares are everywhere. Yeah, shares are everywhere. So they came up with shares. So then they say that, you know what? So I asked them, how much money do you have? They say, we have 5 million. Where is this 5 million? In this bank, which I will not mention. And this 5 million, which account is it in? Current account. Are you seeing that? Current account. Are we not becoming predators? Are we really doing business as a mission there? Yeah? The work of the banks is to empower these people with the right information to make right choices. To tell them if this money you were to invest in on-call, even on-call deposit, how much money will you make? So if you see some of these banks, at the end of the day, entertaining us every year with profit, we've grown with profit. The people who are being exploited are at the grassroots. That aim that I talked about. So let's pray for them, but also let's take up that opportunity and go there and teach ourselves financial literacy that can enable them to invest, save, appropriately. Sawa sawa. Thank you so much, good people.
We just have a small gift we want to give to the peers. So Mzuki, please bring it, just one, and then we give to them. This is one of us produces honey, so I just wanted us to give, and then we release the peers.
Insurance, I'm sorry, I wasn't able to listen to you, but now you earn an appointment after Easter. Yeah, I'll do for you tea, very Kenyan tea in my office.
Okay. Okay, so we shall, she has requested we release her, so Irene, you can continue.
Are you glad you came? Are we having interesting conversations? So for those who are wondering why we insisted on your sectors, is really that. The more we know what are the challenges you're facing as a sector, then we will be able to know as CEO Forum, how do we help you achieve your purpose? So thank you so much, our honorable guest, Honorable Susan Mangeni. At this point, I want to also invite our key sponsor, Hope Media. We thank you so much. We've had to move the program a bit, but we all believe that we've enjoyed the conversation that was happening earlier. And we believe that throughout the day, I hope you'll allow us to extend the program slightly to allow us to tell you why we called you today in terms of also aligning with the conversation that you had this morning. At this point, without much further ado, I want to welcome Dismas Makanda, the CEO of Hope Media, who are our key sponsors. A round of applause for him.
Good morning, everyone. Quite difficult to talk after such an engaging moment. We count it a privilege to be here, especially Hope Media family. We truly want to thank the association and the leadership through Rogers for allowing us to partner with us this morning. The event is live and being watched globally, and we truly thank God. On Sunday, there is a member who came to Sitam Valley Road. And then after the service, of course, they take care of the visitors to a place where they can have a discussion. So then after that, a leader called me on Sunday. I didn't pick the call, but I returned the call on Monday. And one of the things that made me quite happy from the is that we had a member who had come to church with the entire of his family because he got born again through our airwaves. That's Hope FM. And that makes us delighted this morning to know that we have an opportunity to transform a number of people in Kenya and globally. And I know it's an area that many of people seated here have aspiration for. As an SME person, one of the calls that you do not want to receive on a day like this at 12:45, of course, is your bank calling you, telling you have a check that need to clear and you have insufficient funds. How many have received those kind of calls? No, we will not. But then I will leave out larger platforms where I know our brand and our product can be positioned. I therefore want to welcome most of us seated here. We have a Christian platform that has a large audience that will allow you to communicate to Kenyans and globally without interfering with your cash flows. So please do not fear. Please come. But also I want to encourage you, make use of available tools like online presence. I know you could be seated here, but if I wanted to locate you on online, I will find a lot of trouble to get you online. Please make use of them. I have a few slides. Yes, go ahead. Just to let you know who we are, in the interest of time.
media unit of Christ is the Answer Ministries that is committed in spreading the gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ through the transformative power of media. Hope Media is dedicated to utilizing various forms of media to spread the message of hope, love, and redemption to all people around the world. Hope Media consists of various units that work together to achieve this goal. These units include Hope FM. Hope FM is your #1 Christian radio station offering you discussions on current day-to-day issues, inspiring music, life-changing sermons, and news updates, broadcasting 80% in English and 20% in Swahili, with listenership of over 12 million every month. Hope TV. Hope TV programming is designed to inspire, educate, and challenge the viewer with wholesome content to reach various demographic groups, children, youth, and adults, both male and female, with viewership of over 24 million every month. Hope Recording Studios. Hope Recording Studios is a state-of-the-art recording facility that offers high-quality recording, mixing, and mastering services. It is designed to meet the needs of musicians, artists, and other creative professionals who require top-notch recording facilities. Hope Creative. At Hope Creatives, we believe that inspiring graphic design work doesn't just happen. It takes the right people with wild, out-of-the-box ideas committed to the same ideals, working together to make it happen. We listen, we learn, we brand. Hope Digital. Hope Digital is a creative digital unit within Hope Media. We are driven by a passion to creatively express ourselves while influencing you with the same creative energy in online spaces and beyond. At Hope Media, we believe that media can be a powerful tool for spreading the message of hope as well as grow your business through advertisements. And we do this with excellence. For more information regarding our services, please visit www.hopemediakenya.org or call us on 0709 861 180. Hope Media. We keep hope alive.
Thank you. Since then, you have been raised with Christ. Set your hearts on things above, where Christ is seated at the right hand of God. Set your minds on things above, not on earthly things. For you died, and your life is now hidden with Christ in God. When Christ, who is your life, appears, then you also will appear with him in glory. When Tim was talking and asking us to identify the scripture, Colossians 3, verse 23. Whatever you do, work at it with all your hearts as working for the Lord, not for human masters, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. It is the Lord Christ you are serving. Anyone who does wrong will be repaid for their wrongs. On Monday during Mandamano, just allow me to tell you an experience. You see, in media we have a lot of things that are happening, and especially in terms of competition, and you've had medias who are struggling, and some are shutting. And therefore, I called for a crisis meeting with management. On a Monday afternoon, we knew morning there were Mandamano, then I said, let's have a meeting in the afternoon to see what we need to do. Because if we sit and wait, then we'll just be in the same direction where the rest of the people are. So then when we go there and did a devotion from the book of Colossians, we had prepared our slides, financial accounts to look at it, and management accounts. And we read through the book of Colossians, the 25 verses. And that afternoon, instead of going through the slides, the entire management team went to prayer. We didn't hold a meeting. And for about 3 hours, each one of them was kneeling down and being prayed for. Kneeling down and being prayed for. And what followed was an attack. About 6 of them fell sick. They had touched the wrong place. And what God told me is sometimes their conventional way of running business, but I think God has the ideal way of running our business, especially as Christian CEOs. It's important we become sensitive to what God tells us as we do our businesses. It's the only way we will be distinguished from the rest of the CEOs. Yes, I know there are management accounts to look at, but I know the Holy Spirit can be able to allow you. And when we finish that, a number, of course, began to come in. Of course, we were looking about revenue. A number of brands began to call us and say, now we want to do a campaign. Out of the prayer that we did, one of them, of course, was Safaricom. And God told me, as you run the institution, you are not alone. And I want to tell you people seated here, you are not alone. Basically, I have done my presentation. Do you want to run through if there is anything that I have not mentioned? Do you want to run through just in case there's anything I have not mentioned? But basically, we are an arm for crisis and the ministry, an outreach tool. And our focus is two pillars. One, social transformation, organizational development. Just move to the next one. Of course, there's a time it was on social media that we are owned by First Family. We are not. We are owned by Crisis and the Ministries. And we are paying taxes. Go to the next one, please. 20 years back, that's when the vision was birthed, and some of the key people that were there is our Elder Kuria, who is a leader in the ministry. I truly thank him. I also want to thank one of my board member. Please, Sharon, just wave to us. I didn't know that I'll meet you here. She's one of the board members at Hope Media. Thank you. Nice to see you here. So that's our journey from 2003 to date. Next slide. Of course, our business model is, one, we seek to transform and inspire in whatever we do. Number two, growth and leadership. And then we seek opportunities to connect and engage. That's what I'm calling for from each one of us here. There's an opportunity for you to position your brand globally. Next slide. Of course, partnerships. Friends of Hope, many people, we have about over 500 people who monthly understand our vision. They just give. They don't advertise. And we truly thank them wherever they are and watching us. And then commercials, of course, we thank our partners. Some of them are seated here. Next slide. Of course, some of the areas that we are keen on is digital, of course, personalize your brand, but also security on the privacy as we handle our customers. Next one. Of course, some of the properties that you can plug in, many of them are not charged. So you are free just to reach out to us and be able to position your brand. I'm truly grateful. We will play the last clip. Some of the people we are working with currently are here. There are many, but we'll only mention a few who believe in what we do. But I would want to focus on the people seated here. Please do not fear. When we began a business sometime 3 years back with my wife, we just began it. And I told her, please advertise. So she went to a TV station and did an advert. Of course, the turnover is not huge. But in that county, that business is one of the leading. When you search the most leading business, of course, you will find the name there. Not because of turnover, but because of communication. Thank you. I'll sit down, allow you to play the last clip, and then we finish. I'm truly grateful for the opportunity, Rogers, and the team for allowing us to partner. We are available to position the leaders here in the industry. Thank you. Blessings.
Listener are the reason why we go on air. You, the friend of hope, are the reason why hope is alive. You have helped us take hope across the country and to the rest of the world. Through your giving, we have been on air for 18 years and witnessed many people coming to the Lord. Through your giving, we have expanded our reach to 3 new regions, namely Kisii, Nyeri, and Meru. Through your giving, we have expanded our reach to an international audience through DSTV and GoTV platforms. Thank you for your sacrifice and generosity toward this great initiative. As we continue spreading hope to the other unreached regions in Kenya, you are invited to be part of the Friends of Hope through a contribution of any amount via M-Pesa Paybill 933933, account name FOH. Friends of Hope, keeping hope alive. God bless you.
We also thank them for having this event live so that everybody who couldn't join us today is able to also follow. As we had mentioned, we had limited capacity. I think the room is already full, but we thank you so much for coming. Before we go to the next session, I would like to ask for your indulgence. Can you allow us at least an hour? An extra hour? Do we have a yes? The reason why we will request for this time is because the speakers who spoke earlier basically laid the foundation of why we called you for this important session. Because we realize there's a lot of synergies in CEO Forum, but unless we engage, we never know. I never knew Carol is in agriculture. I knew her in investment. Godfrey, he registered under BTL. I never knew he was in agriculture. So how many more conversations don't we know? So maybe we will, before Gabriel comes in to share the report of the findings, one thing we will want to encourage you moving forward, if today PS had some funds to allocate to SMEs, how many people will have gotten them? How many? How many? Who registered on time? I want to give a round of applause to Albert Muinde and his in tech. So I want to recognize him why he was the first person to pay. So because of that, we'll give him a notebook and a pen, because sometimes we miss out on opportunities because we are not quick to go for it. So this is an encouragement that anytime something is posted, I know sometimes there can be a lot of conversations, please engage. Because if we want to go and tap these markets, yeah, it's first come, first served, okay? So one of the things, especially for the people who, I know there are quite a number of businesses represented. There was a segment for introductions. Unfortunately, because of time, we won't be able to. We only managed to capture some of the logos for the representatives, but I know a lot of sectors are represented here. So when we talked about issues of compliance, there's someone in legal, Bodoni Njogu, okay? So Bodoni has waived. For people in agriculture, Chris Nzuki, I think is very, and I see how he innovates in terms of how he positions the honey. You know how he's willing to give. The farmers in the room, please position yourself, because at the end of the day, what we are saying is there's opportunity. And there's so much wealth of knowledge in this group, but what we wanted to see is what are the gaps? You're all sitting together and you're saying, we are ready to serve dairy, fresh produce, hive, all those things, okay? So that's where we want to go in terms of the next level. But over and above the technical skill, because there are a lot of consultants in the room. Where are the consultants? Mikono ya consultants? Very many. Beyond the technical skill, if we want to be excellent, we must have the right capacity. Okay? If people is an issue, there are people development experts in the room. If strategy is an issue, doing your sales pitch is an issue, there are people in the room who are going to do that. And I just want to invoke us using Proverbs 22 and 29. I love this verse. And because we are Christians, do you want to see a man who does excellent work? Yeah? Do you see a man who excels in his work? He will stand before kings. He will not stand before the unknown. So if you want a meeting with the president, do you need to omba serekali? Do excellent work. He'll call you to the room. And so that you can be able to equip all these MSMEs, even the PS was saying, how do we build the capacity for small businesses to come up? I want to give us a challenge. Who's the oldest entrepreneur in the room? 20 years plus? Please put up your hand. 20 years plus. No, in terms of business experience, your company is 20 years and above as a business. So we have the gurus in the room, okay?
Yeah. So between 15 and 20, gurus in the room, okay? Between 5 and 10. You see, the wealth of knowledge is here. Do we need to look for outsiders? Startups, me, I'm there. Okay, I'm a startup. And the reality is, if we help each other move from micro to small to medium, we don't need to ask the government's idea. We'll be telling the government, CEO Forum has solutions on scaling businesses. We have built the capacities. We already have the resources. The human skill is there. We are helping you create the employment opportunities. The manufacturers in the room, I'm happy to see. I saw some people register. I can recognize Spot On Apparel. That's why it's good to put your details, because you'll get a free mention. Yeah? The manufacturers in the room, if we are going to create employment for our young people, yeah, we need to have these industries working. So without much further ado, I think I'll invite Gabriel to take us through the survey findings. For those who didn't participate, don't worry, we'll still come back to you, because what we are trying to do is, can we consolidate ourselves in the various sectors so that then we see as sectors, what are the gaps, what can we do, so that the next time we call PS here, we'll be telling her, these are the key sectors represented in CEO Forum. This is what we've done from a capacity building. Where is the government going to support us in terms of policy? What are they going to support us in terms of the market? So now we'll be saying, we are ready. Some of the solutions we've created are this. We have even piloted within the group. So take us.
Good morning. Praise the Lord. You know, it's an honor, of course, to speak to Christian CEOs. I always give my own personal experience. They asked me, would you recommend me a good strategy book that I can read? I told them, you know what? The Bible. And I got a chance to minister, and I've made it a practice in our consultancy space to be able to position that all the wisdom is in the Word of God. People may have written books, and you've read all those books, Blue Ocean Strategy and all those things, but the whole wisdom is in the Bible. My name is Gabriel Nyamu. I have very limited time with you, maybe 20 minutes. I was meant to just facilitate a session to give you the findings. We came to you in the CEO's forum, and we asked you for data. You know, data is gold, and I love data myself. So you gave us some data, and we are trying to profile, at least to see the state of the MSMEs within the CEO's forum. And quite a number of you responded, and we felt it's good and prudent to also come back and give you the findings, but also spend some 10 minutes to solution together. In the program, you may see something written co-creating. Because yes, we have done it, so what? Madam CS was here. She may be expecting us to go back to her probably with what you're doing and where we engage and where we need maybe the government. You talk about the big man. Our pastor talked about the big man. Eh? So if you are to get that appointment, we need to have an idea of what we go and present, because you can't just go there and present wishes. So I'm doing this on behalf of a company called Inquest Research and Consulting. So we are a management consultancy firm, been there for the last actually 15 years, but operations 13 years. And we build a legacy in purpose-led transformation. I think most of you may have seen me more position myself as a purpose coach, and I think that's what I live. That's what I live for. My life is all about purpose. And I don't know whether you've ever thought about your business just to make sure at least your business you're running is redemptive. Are you pursuing a redemptive purpose in your business, or maybe just for what Daktari was telling us? Business that have to get money, then they fund mission separately. That's why you have things like CSR. In redemptive purpose businesses, there's no CSR because the core business itself is redemptive. And that's what we live for. So we do market research, learning solutions, do a lot of training. We are NITA accredited, and also we do management consultancy, strategy, and our flagship is always transformation. So if you're looking for maybe to, I know there are so many SMEs who tell you, we want to become a corporate, from an SMEs to corporate, we are the right partners. And we don't need to go to these big, we used to call them big 4, they became big 5, they became big 6, we have big 7. And I think you can't be the big 8 also, and we pride ourselves as the big 7 somewhere there. All right, if you get what I mean. We have done quite a lot of work locally and also in the African region. I think I just to start with something just to give a perspective. I like this quote by Billy Graham saying that the next generation preparing of spiritual awakening transformation will start in the marketplace, not in the pulpit. That means us running businesses, of course, that's where much of the transformation is going to start from. And we need to position ourselves. You're talking about the African, rising and positioning to be the global power. The business community, we have a lot to play, and I think it's good to have that mindset as we engage further. I love research. I saw these findings from a very authoritative executive search review newsletter in LinkedIn, saying actually even employees are choosing where to work for. So if employees, I'm sure most of us have employees you're working with, check whether probably they're not finding meaning in what they do. But if you're able to have a very compelling case, and I have recent quite a number of profiles, you even have a way of attracting employees. I think there's a question you were asking, though I don't have the statistics line now here. We were asking about your, purpose for your business, the mission for your business, or the vision for your business in our survey. Research shows, of course, that this is external research before I show you your own data. 42% of businesses, especially the startups, the reason why they could not grow to scale and they fall, the top biggest reason is that there's no need. Just imagine doing a business that there's no need. No need. It's a big business. It's a big gap in the market. And therefore, we need to have a compelling conviction on what really makes our relevance in terms of business. So let me just walk you through briefly in what we found in research that we did amongst most of us here, and we want to appreciate again your participation. As I go through this, try to think through, and we'll be giving you like 10 minutes, on how can we resolve some of these issues that are here. Because solutions do not come from up there. By up I mean, other outside Kenya, outside Africa. God is going to give us the insight for ourselves, within ourselves, to collaborate better and to kind of support each other. And I know we have the mantra for Jewish culture. So you can see like this, which was quite a good, interesting. There's a question that was asking about, whether you're 100% compliant with the relevant, registration based on where you operate. And you can see 43% of the businesses were really not quite compliant. Of course, that's quite of a risk in terms of a business, because it means that, of course, you can't be caught up by the law and our regulators, and therefore we get out of the business. I'll give a story of somebody who was running a furniture business, and a lady went there, and you go and order for a nice table, an executive table, with glass and all that, and ivory touch. And apparently the business name for that small business was given a name, some names that we love in the Bible, you know. Yeah, you know, we love those names, Mount Sinai, yeah? Mount Sinai Furniture Enterprises. And then this lady went in there and kind of gave her order. But then he was promised 1 week. For 7 years in the business. And sometimes you try to take some few shortcuts, Then the government change the leadership. The PS that was there is no longer, we get a new PS, Then they come, they get your record, and then you're hit. And sometimes you hit with huge bills, especially KRI, these Kenya Power things. It's good at least to be compliant. So question again for you as one of the assignments, how do we support each other in this space? There are those who are in management consultancy, building structure, processes, and all that. How can we support each other so that this is not a risk amongst us? And when one is hit, all of us need to feel it. That's what we need to do. We need to operate as one system. We talked about, we had asked a question around a plan, and majority at least were saying they have a plan, but you'll see another question where then you challenge this part. So they have a plan. So approximately almost 70% at least have a plan. Whether it's a strategic plan, there's also a difference between a strategy and a strategic plan. Those are two different things. So hoping that the question was understood, then of course we are saying everybody has a plan on how they need to operate, scale, grow, and prepare for future. That wasn't a very big concern, but of course, almost a third still do not have a plan. And I think it's good to put in a plan and put in the vision in place, because it even informs your prayer and also even collaboration. Because Hope Media have a plan, do you know what? I have to get to that opportunity that has been advertised here. Because there's a plan. With a plan, I'm able to see where to plug in. So sometimes you also attract partners just because you're able to articulate where you're going. But when it comes to some other aspect in the plan, like sustainability, you can see a big gap. 57% do not have any sustainability plan. I remember one, and I know he's one of the CEO forum member, former PS also during Kibaki time, my good friend. I know you know. We have several PSs in the CEO forum, one of the former in Kibaki. I remember when I met her first, she's called Joyce Mnyamwea, quite a very astute person. The first question she asked me, I was not asked that question by many people. She asked me, Gabriel, I know this is what you're doing. Tell me what your sustainability plan. I felt like I have been drawn back to zero. And it's good to be asking each other such kind of questions. Because I actually met a CEO in Uganda a few weeks ago, and he told me, Gabriel, I am afraid I was better 10 years ago. And asked me, why? 10 years ago, I had already accumulated enough wealth in the business that even my up to third generation, they can actually operate without work. It's a multi-billion company. By that time, I only had 15 employees. Today, I have 380 employees. I am in 7 countries. I am afraid. Today, I'm afraid. That's what the CEO was telling me. He's a founder, actually. I'm afraid today. I was better. Sometimes we admire growth, and you pray God to grow. But let me tell you, that growth can also be scary. I actually am more afraid today than 10 years ago. The question is for you, what is your sustainability plan? And you can see we have a huge gap. Now, how can we support each other in this? To make sure at least all of us have businesses that can transcend beyond our lifetime. So that we are not just doing it for survival, sustenance. It's something that is for posterity, and you know how many generations that we are planning for? fourth generations. I was told the oldest business currently is 700 years globally. At least I have met one of the oldest, which is 300 years. Actually, I was there yesterday, but it's not actually a Kenyan business. Question is, what you are learning, can it even live 100 years? We've seen businesses actually when the founder dies, they all collapse immediately. I think that's not our portion. So how do we help each other in building multi-generational, cross-generational businesses that are not really losing? And that's actually where it's important to run businesses that are more purpose-led, because you can hand over purpose, because that's a conviction issue, and it's a calling that actually can also run within your family. Another issue we found here was on the sales side. We know this is where the business gets its own cash flow, especially to fund your daily operations. So you're asking, I have consistent sales pipeline, and you can see quite 61%. I don't know whether maybe it's because this was before Maandamano, so is it? Yeah. So we can't blame Maandamano. We can't blame COVID a lot. I think this was around February or January. So we tend to struggle. We're struggling in our sales pipeline. So we don't have enough funnel of our sales prospects that can actually sustain the business. So how do we support each other? We are, following the Jewish culture. Before even you give business out there, can we make sure at least within ourselves, you're not giving business out? I know there are many people who are from other forums like BNI networking, and I know so many other such networking forums, where first of all, you give your own fellow colleague business before you externally export it out there. Okay? And that's a challenge for us. How do we position ourselves as Christian CEOs, as Christian business founders, to make sure at least each of us, there is flow? Because when Sarah is getting a business from me, it's not going outside there. The network, okay? I'm posing this question because that's what we need to discuss. How do we leverage this? And I'm happy that Hope Media is promising us that we can be able to advertise there. I know last time they gave us an SME offer. There's a package somewhere I saw, 50% actually. So we better grab that so that at least we can be able to build our sales pipeline. Investment plan, I have seen some few investment people here, professionals. Just know that 57% of our businesses within this forum do not have a clear investment plan. That means whatever we get, we eat. And we pay salaries, we pay rent, and then we eat. Tomorrow you still play for daily bread. Tomorrow again, So an investment plan is a big issue, because how do we plow back our profit, our reserves from what we get from our profit? It's a big issue, because this sustainability question almost somehow we relate also to this, because investment is part of it. Because you need to live in place that can grow the funds, can grow the business, and all that even without you when you're no longer existing. So how do we then future-proof ourselves to have a bit of at least a good investment plan that is, you don't rely only on your core cash flows coming from your business, the sales, what you call the sales. A big gap again. Operational board of advisors. This is a challenge. How can we entrench such that each of us, you're serving in multiple boards, and don't demand those allowances. I don't mind having one or two people in the CEO forum. Come and advise me. How can we advise? How can we each other kind of pair up and become advisory board members? We don't necessarily have to be executive board members. But how can we rally that? Because it also build a sense of accountability, where you're coming to report to us, what you're planning to do, why you want to do it, what is the growth projections, what the future look like, and also the past performance, and then the brother that you may have made, and then you have a council that can actually be able to polish you up. 78%. We know no accountability. I know here in International Leadership University here, I know one of the key components of leadership is accountability. So how do we enhance that within the fabric of our CEOs forum? I think those are just the questions. I hope you can see why we needed a co-creation. How do we enhance this within our network? We may not have all answers today, but this is the challenge we want to pose so that at least we are intentional as we move on as a family, as a community. HR, people management. Most of us sometimes even don't give new employees appointment letters. Only later when you're hit by litigations, and currently the laws of Kenya, employees will always win. Those ex-employees will always win. In fact, we did a research in our company for layoffs from 2012 up to 2020. And all cases that were in the court. and there was almost 87% success rate on cases that were raised against the employers. So that means the employers were losing most of the cases. And even for very big organizations, very big organizations. So we don't want to again get into that space. We need to also make sure at least we are managing our employees well, whether in terms of how we contract them, the terms of service. Some of us may not even have what we call the WIBA, very basic things, insurance covers like WIBA. And if an employee tomorrow get an accident in the office, you know what that means. It can also lead it on all your savings and all what probably you had accumulated as your capital to reinvest. So how do we also enforce very basic, what you call minimum threshold of even compliance around things like employee management, okay? I know there are those that maybe where you are the only employee, that's okay. But I think it's also good also for yourself, even for yourself also to have a certain structure of operations so that you model for others, isn't it? You model before you prepare to hire somebody else. Yeah, and it's a big issue, I know, especially within our space. Appropriate technology to enable growth. I'm happy at least we have GPay here, We need to tap more of the wisdom of how can you leverage technology to harness our business efficiency. There are costs you incur in leading that probably you could not be incurring if at all you leverage some existing technology, and some of them are almost free. Small ERPs that really don't have a lot of cost, but it will help you organize your ledger, do your financial reporting, manage your employee records and all that, even without a lot of hassle. So 61% have not leveraged that. That means we are more human capital intensive, and therefore it's also a bit of a challenge because in a digital world, which then we need to make sure at least we are taking that opportunity ourselves. I think as Christians, sometimes we are always behind when it comes to embracing technology. Remember when internet came? Our first gut feel was devil worshipper. Here again. When even M-Pesa came, the narrative of this money I'm not seeing. Even ATM, I remember many years. I was a banker for 13 years in the banking. I remember the first time we launched an ATM. I won't mention the region because I may have somebody here. There is one branch actually we installed ATMs many years ago, and customers could still queue in the banking hall. And we have 2 ATMs out there, very expensive. That time I think it was almost 20 million to install one ATM. We've invested 2 ATMs, no customer queuing. They're coming to deposit and withdraw money in the banking. Then we understood, later we did a survey, we understood that the community there never believed with pesa ya ukuta. That's why even some of us withdraw money but still have to count it. Kwa ATM. Lazima bado hesabu. Yeah. So, we have to embrace technology because it will make your work easy. It will help you deliver more. Currently, we have a lot of technology that actually are not that expensive that you could actually use for that. We didn't seem to have a big issue here in terms of bookkeeping. That means we are keeping records. Again, we'll assume the answer was accurate and honest, because then if you keep good records, then why are you not complying? Remember the compliance question? Because you have good records, then you know when to pay debtors, you know to pay returns and all that. Then I don't know why there was no correlation between the two, but I think it's something of course. This was a rapid, by the way, let me give a disclaimer. This was a rapid PAL survey. You know those rapid appraisal surveys that you do? Of course, you need to do an in-depth data, which can help us profile more in-depth information and correlate parameters. Business has online presence. I think we are all digital. This is quite promising. At least 91% are in social media. You have a Facebook page for your business account. You have a website. You have a LinkedIn account, a Twitter. TikTok, if possible, currently. I think that was a good progression. Most of the business currently, in terms of visibility, you may be in the conventional media. You may also be in the digital space, which actually currently is the core. In fact, even the conventional media is actually moving to digital. I'm consulting for some of the media companies, and I know how the strategy is being done right now for a media company, and they are positioning towards digitizing their media and their newsrooms and all that. So these are good feedback. My business revenue has been adequate to cover my operations. I think that's a gap. 78% will require working capital financing. That means you may not actually be able to service some, even if you get a tender where you have to plow your capital fast before you're paid, 30 days, 60 days. County? Anybody who's doing business in county? I know I have some inside information. You may not have several thousands of vehicles to police and they have not been paid for 3 years. So working capital can actually kill you. It actually suffocates you. So how do we make sure at least we can keep afloat in terms of working capital? Amongst us here, we are people who are doing financing at a Jewish way or Jewish principle. We could also support each other. So I think that's also a big gap. How do we make sure at least we have business cash flow that can sustain our operations? Actually, there were only 5 in summary. They were talking about business opportunities from fellow CEOs, giving each other business. How can that happen? How do we pair up each other? We don't know. We need to discuss that. How do we give each other business? We have the queen of networking here, Madam Sarah Karing. So we need maybe to learn how to really do this. Maybe because I'm not giving business to each other because we have not profiled ourselves well in terms of our service offerings. In fact, we were discussing the chairman, our patron here. I think we need to have a certain way of knowing what is that thing that probably I can give you or you can give me. We don't know each other. We may know each other in terms of the industry and the company we run, but in terms of maybe the granular bit of what service solution offerings we can collaborate, maybe we don't know. So we need to keep that environment as we could. Maybe that challenge by Madam PS of exhibition, I think it's good. We can even exhibit. We don't have to wait for an annual thing. A small thing, we can just come and you have your own desk and you tell us what you do, and we have all the day without hurry. That's assuming business can learn without us. Looking for network to get more customers on board. I think that was a feedback given. Structure. We've been talking about Jewish culture. I think we need to break it down into minute things that we can do. Doables, for lack of a better word. I think we need to break that so that I know we have the Jewish philosophy overall, but we need to break it down. Okay? So that at least all of us can be able to relate and we are immersed and inducted into the same concepts and principles. So how do we do that? And even give accountability. I know like for BNI network, I know several members here. You'll even give an account how many business referrals you give. Those who are in manufacturing, there are things that, of course, you can be able to share together that can help us grow and also incubate new leaders and mentor them as they come up. Unleashing the power of executing vision, I think that was around the plans. So we asked several questions that were more targeted on the top priority areas of support. Majority said the HR issue. I think managing people, I think, is one of the toughest things in the world. It is. It came top there. So those management consultants in HR space, I think we need to. How can we give us some consumable products or solutions that are more easily digestible, not the complicated ones. I may not need a job evaluation right now, but there can be that low level where you can begin and set up some nice HR structure. It topped in terms of priority. We're asking people to prioritize high priority, low priority, average priority. That's how this rating has been done. So you can see majorities on that. Others is expansion, meaning there are people who probably feel I have been in one space for long, and maybe I'm doing the same thing. Those upcountry kiosks, when we were in primary school, you found a kiosk in your village, and even right now, you are in your 50s, you still go and find that kiosk there, isn't it? We don't want to learn that kind of business also. It is good actually because it is sustained and they have educated their families. But how can we also support each other in expansion? Expand our thinking, partnerships, collaborations. Right now we are being challenged to venture out of the country. I sit in the DRC Congo, Kenya Chamber of Commerce, and you're trying to earmark business opportunity in Congo, a massive opportunity there. How many of us have ventured? I was so happy to see Optiven yesterday when Ruto was visiting there was a forum yesterday in Kigali. And I saw this Optiven was presented there. And Joshua Shuri is one of us in this forum. But how many of us? I'm also positioned in there in terms of consultancy space. We need to take advantage of the regional market. That means Africa, literally. Not even East Africa, Africa. Okay? So we need to support each other on the expansion. Business automation, George, Gigi, GP, number 3 top priorities on technology. That means there are businesses that are feeling like, I wish I have a technology that can help do 1, 2, 3, 4 things. I think that would be a very big opportunity for all of us. Then there was supply chain. I think that's material sourcing. If you know source, especially for those who are in production or value chain, the manufacturing space, or even things like agriculture, of course. Where do we get material sourcing? Asset financing. I'm happy we have Remik here who are doing things like leasing. If you are struggling in, let's say, financing some trading assets, you have some people who are able to offer for you like leasing, financing. Entrepreneurial coaching, big, all the way. I won't go through the list. But the thing is, can we validate? Because this session was supposed to help us. Are these things... Can we validate whether these things are real or they imagines or they are hot air? Are they hot air or they are things that we probably now, because we didn't want to go to solutioning, meaning like start coming up with some product before first of all validating the feedback on the survey to you guys. And you tell us whether you see, I think that's an issue. Or maybe that one is not an issue. That's a hot air, we can't drop it. Okay, you get me? So we need to validate this. And I think I'll give you 10 minutes. I'm almost done. So the way we need to think, and this is just an example of 4 areas. One is, of course, how we as CEOs or founders, can we be organized better? We have a CEO forum, yes, but how can we be organized better, specifically, especially to promote each other in our areas of impact? I want to use impact, but for the impact there, you can also grow and get profit, okay? But the ultimate is the impact that you're making. Using the Jewish culture, how can we be organized? It's a question for us. I hope you're journaling some notes somewhere, because that's now what you're going to do literally, even if it will take 5 or 10 minutes. In which ways can we sharpen each other? Because, nobody is a monopoly of knowledge. You have some wisdom, somebody else has. If you bring it together, we're able to sharpen each other as CEOs, and we can support and grow together. Which accountability would we require to grow and sustain our impact within our businesses? Remember, we said 78% have no advisory board. Could we start imposing ourselves in, maybe I can impose myself, even if you don't appoint me, I'm your advisor. Honorary, eh? Yes, I want to come and, know how you run your business, Where you are in terms of business and skill, we could support each other. We could, I know there are people who actually do what you call you group together, like you have advisory board member, but for a group. For example, if you organize yourself in sectors and say you have real estates, instead of having an advisory member for all of us, each independent, you can actually have a joint, a shared, where you
that is something that I feel are fitting naturally, and maybe those are actually committees, if there's a way of whittling them down. Strategy, HR, finance, so on and so forth.
Okay.
Finally, this is now, it's not on the research, but it's a trend because of our age that we're losing parents. And it happens, and I think several members have lost parents. And maybe from Lady County to the farmers will understand this. Because you see, what if we picked out one of the insurance companies to get a last expense such that annuity covers the parents and the parents, so that we transfer into this, and it normally maybe then it will be, because I stand here and I'm feeling guilty because I'm not contributing. It's only me who knows that I know I'm not contributing in the last one, but there's a solution out there in the matter.
Okay, good. Thank you. Quite rich content. Let's go on. Thank you very much. Let's get those ideas coming. Awesome. Great. Thank you. All right, my sister, I think, yeah. All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Madam Caro. I may start at the back and then Godfrey. Morning.
looking at the different areas that we need support to make boards. This will provide that kind of thing in the different areas, not just accountability. We are thinking you have issued cash flow. Which group do you, or someone new enters the group, joins the group, where do our chair direct them in case they have an issue? So that's that.